Well, hello and welcome to Scolton Manor in Pembrokeshire, where we've been before for the Pembrokeshire Classic Car Club meet last year, I think. But we're here again, not because of 2CVs and Bedfords. No, it's the Morris Minor Owners Club West Wales branch. It's their annual meeting, and sadly the weather is a little damp. It's actually currently raining on me as I speak, which I think has affected the numbers. But nonetheless, what we're going to do is take a walk through history. We're going to walk through the Morris Minor range from the earliest cars to the latest, which I think is going to put a very different spin on this show report. And then, yes, we will have a look at all the other classics that are here as well. So this is the earliest car here, 1950 Series Morris Minor. This is effectively how they were launched in 1948, complete with a fillet in the bumper, because they widened the car by 4 inches at the last minute. This is a low light car, so it's got the headlamps mounted down here in the grille. Beautiful Lucas headlamps, and under the bonnet is the 918cc side valve engine out of the Morris 8. Isagonis wanted a flat 4, he wasn't allowed a flat 4, so we had to make do with this. This one's got some tasty period mods on it. It's got a special cylinder head, Denison was it, and twin SU carburetors, but they were a little staid in standard form. This one is a Tourer. The Tourers originally had these removable side screens in the back, so apart from the frame on the door window, it really is a full soft top, and lovely details on these earlier cars as well. If we look at the rear lights and this little reflector here, absolutely beautiful. This one has a fascinating history. It was an export car, hence its left-hand drive. Note the dials were originally ahead of the driver. Not too sure where it went. It was booked out to Nuffield Exports, Nuffield being Morris effectively, and went somewhere in the world, we don't really know, but ended up in California. By 1969 it was parked up and being used for advertising, so it's had quite the life. Now behind me is a Series 2 Morris Minor, but actually these raised headlamps where they've come out of the grille were fitted from, I think, late 49 on the 4-door saloons, when the 4-door saloons were first bought here. We had some sound issues earlier. I have recorded an 4-door saloon. You can see some of the footage here, so I can't match my lips to it, but that is one of the earlier cars. This is a Series 2 behind me. The big change is under the bonnet. With the merger of Austin and Morris in 1952 to form the British Motor Corporation, they re-engined the Minor, and instead of the 918cc side valve engine, it now had an 803cc overhead valve engine from the Austin A30. I did a video specifically looking at the A-series engines and its history, but that's how the Morris ended up with an Austin engine, and it gave slightly better performance, still rather slow, I'm afraid. The 0 to 50 time is not particularly impressive, but it is a lot better than the side valve cars. The gearing is very low, so by the time you're in fourth gear, you're kind of screaming along at 30 miles an hour. They're very odd things to drive, but it was a good step forward. And later they facelifted the Series 2, represented by the Morris Minor Owners Club Series 2 Saloon and Convertible register here. And now you can see we've got the classic front grille. Different colours used during the Minor's production, but that is the grille that effectively remained in production until the end. Still got the split windscreen, but yeah, there is the little A-series engine. The Series 2 was also available in Traveller style for the first time. This one's a bit of an odd mix. It's got later indicator side light units, makes life a lot easier, but it's still got the small windscreen. But obviously all the action is around the back, really, where all this beautiful wood is crafted. I think the estate bodies were built in Birmingham, but they remained a staple of Minor production right till the end. So in 1956 came the biggest overhaul of the Minor, when it became the Minor 1000. So we're now 8 years into production. This is the biggest change that happened really in the Minor's lifetime at all. We've got a new one-piece wraparound windscreen, well, not wraparound but curved, and under the bonnet we've now got the 948cc version of the classic A series engine. Minor changes, we've still got trafficators rather than actual indicators, slightly different rear lamps, so I think may have come in on the Series 2, but yeah, indicators still not available. This one's slightly modified. Lewis at Whiteland Restorations painted that beautiful roof, and I really like the painted mini lights on this example as well. It belongs to Ted, who also owns the Tourer we were just looking at, and I think runs the West Wales branch of the Morris Minor Owners Club. And it's a lovely car. The 948cc engine was backed up by a new remote controlled gearbox with a shorter gear lever as well. So this genuine Panda police car is an ideal representative of the later 1098cc engine miners, although once again they changed the mechanical package initially without changing the exterior at all. But I think in about 1964 they began fitting the larger indicator side light units, so you had proper indicators. Before that the little side light flashed when you indicated, and before that obviously trafficators. And in 1964 also saw them change the wiper pattern, which obviously we were quite obsessed with here at Hubnut. So you got a more conventional pattern which covers more of the screen. You don't get the huge triangle of inattention in the middle of the screen. It should just about overlap to give you a clearer view. Also different rear lights, larger combined tail lamp units, which look very good on the back of Jowett Javelin as well. But this is a genuine police car, which you can tell, not just because of this, but you can buy that anywhere. If we look inside, you can see a zip in the headliner, and that is a sign. Whether it was to access the wiring for the lamps, I'm not sure, but that was a feature. Period radio and everything in this one as well. But the 1098cc engine also had a beefier gearbox, and gave the Morris Minor potential to hit 70 miles an hour, which was, then the motorway speed limit. Previously, they did struggle a little. So it's an interesting comparison. There's the earlier 948 car, although it could be a 1098. They didn't change the looks at all, but most of them are like that. And then this is the later car. And we should also have a look at a later Traveller. A quick shout out to this one for number plate reasons mostly. It's got the yellow and white, so yellow back, white front. They were introduced in about 1968, but a lot of cars, even if they had such plates, now find themselves with the white on black. So that's appropriate for that age of vehicle. But a 68 like this one here may have had white plates from new, or someone may have fitted these ones later. But this is a good example of the later Traveller. This is also a 1098 car, and they really didn't change very much at all. The trim has gone. It's no longer chrome around the roof compared to the Series 2 Traveller, but that really is about it. They didn't change very much at all. This one weirdly seems to have some modern Ford seats, I think, out of a Focus or maybe even a Puma, not sure. But modifications, always part of the Morris Minor scene. Look, this one's got the kidney choppers and some extra lamps. This one is a non-standard colour. They do like their modifications in the scene. So while you get beautiful original cars like this Series 2 here, good opportunity to compare rear window sizes. Yeah, some people do like to go for modified, so no more so. But if we go up here, look at this modified Traveller. Incidentally, later pickups, here's a gorgeous pickup with a canvas tilt, and vans were available as an Austin and gained a crinkly grille, and that was attempting to rationalise the commercial fleets of both Austin and Morris. But this is the early 70s. This is like 20 years after Austin and Morris merged, and is one of the issues with what became British Leyland. It was that lack of rationalisation. Yeah, here's a very modified one we've seen before. It's got what I think might be modern mini headlamps, maybe? I'm not sure. Or are they Porsche 911 even? Really, really nice headlamps. We've got a Fiat twin cam engine hiding under there, looking quite mischievous. The big alloy wheels. It's a full-on custom woody. Wooden doors, wooden tailgate. And we've seen this before at Pembrokeshire Classic Car Club meets. So it's a local car in lovely condition. I've got a Minor just going out, all the classic Minor noises. So there goes that Series 2 with a smaller rear window. Lovely. And an example here of a later convertible. The Tourers have removable side screens in the back. The convertible has a fixed rear window. Another mildly modified one, loving the row styles. On a J plate, that's about in 1970, so that was the last year of production. The convertibles went out in 1969, the saloons in 1970, and the travellers and vans were the last, 71, perhaps straggling slightly into 72 on the vans. The records have all been lost. This one is actually on a Ford Ranger chassis, so something entirely different. Looks quite mean and moody. But yeah, a lovely lineup of cars representing the many ages of the Morris Minor. What's the yellow one about? So we're now with Jenny, who isn't from the West Wales branch of the Morris Minor Club at all. Where are you from?
I'm from the Bristol branch.
Okay, so what has brought you here today?
Right, well, I am also the MMOC Area 4 Liaison Officer, so I support branches from West Wales right down to Cornwall, over to Dorset, Gloucester, Bristol, lots of branches.
A fairly big area.
Yes, yeah, and also I'm involved with Miranda, the project here.
Which is why we've just walked over, yes. This very, very colourful Morris Minor.
And I'm coordinating her diary as she travels around the country.
Okay, so what is Miranda up to and what is the thinking behind it?
Miranda is a 1963 Morris Minor. She's originally under this wrap, Trafalgar Blue. Mm-hmm. She was donated by a member.
Yeah.
And we thought, well, actually, we are celebrating 75 years of the Morris Minor. And Marie Curie, 75 years.
Ah, so that's a cancer care charity.
Ah, no, it's not.
No.
It was cancer care, but it's now actually care for the end of life.
Oh, okay, palliative care.
Yeah, so any illness, not just cancer. So
a very, very worthy cause then.
Absolutely, yeah. Throughout the whole of the country, they have presence. They have a lot of hospices dotted around, from London over to Belfast and up to Scotland. So the idea with Miranda, the MMOC for the last 40 years have always supported Marie Curie, and we've raised over £100,000 over that time. Yeah. So the idea was to wrap Miranda in bright yellow and travel the country, raising funds for Marie Curie, and also sort of awareness of the Morris Minors and celebrating our 75 years.
Beautiful. So where has she been so far?
She's done London, she's sort of jumped around the country so far. She's been to Birmingham, she's done Cardiff. This is the furthest she's been over in Wales.
Can't get much further without going splash.
No,
so
absolutely. Well, it'd be nice if she could go over to Ireland, to Belfast.
Oh wow!
They do have a hospice there as well. She's off to what we call the Roses Run, which is a Morecambe to Scarborough trip.
Oh well, that's a long way north.
Yeah, so that's coming up. So she has been. She's been over to Hampshire. Yesterday she was in Hampshire, an event, and we drove her over last night to here. So she's really
well travelled,
doing the miles. Yeah.
And is there a hope to get her up to Scotland as well?
Well, we would like to. We would like to at some point. She started her journey in March at the NEC, and she will be ending in November at the NEC.
Oh, we look forward to seeing her again at the NEC Classic Motor Show.
So if we can manage to get her to Scotland, if we're looking for some sponsorship on the fuel costs for that, if we can get her up there before November, that would be perfect.
Super.
So she's working hard, is Miranda.
And the hashtag Meeting Miranda Minor.
That's right.
So look out for that on the old socials. But yeah, what a great cause. And hopefully when we next see this car, she will have made it to Scotland. Let's keep those fingers crossed. Brilliant. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Right, let's have a look at some of the non-Morris Minors, because one thing I love about this event is they invite all manner of classics along. And behind me, a close relative in some ways, the MG Magnet, also part of the BMC stable, designed by Gerard Palmer. Beautiful cars. And he also did the Jowett Javelin. And independent front suspension, B-series engines with twin carburetors, and this is a fairly late one, I think, a Veritone, given away by the much larger rear window, as well as the two-tone paint, though not every Veritone had two-tone paint, but that's a beautiful example of a really lovely car that I've just walked right in front of myself. professional. Austin A40 Farina replaced the A35. This isn't a Countryman. Some had the full estate car type back end on them. Some of these cars we've seen before. So this 1929 Chevrolet is one we've seen quite often locally, and he reckons it's the only vintage car he owns that actually collects flies because it goes that quickly. We're in there somewhere is the A series engine in that Austin A35. Very nice example there. The engine somewhat lost in that tiny little engine bay somehow. And next to that we've got the Sporty Fords. I think we saw these at Tybee Valley, possibly also at the Pembrokeshire Classic Car Show. Very mean and moody, very nice. And then we got some hot Viva action. We've got our neighbour Rob's HC. Got a test on that on the channel a few years ago now. Was it 3 years ago? Blimey. And an HA next to it. And I've just seen the picnic set on the back of the HA. So this is the Viva HA Saloon, introduced early 1960s and in production for a very long time, especially in van form. We will come back to that. Hold that thought, we will come back to it. And further along the lineup at Westfield, another of those Lotus 7esque type builds. And Spitfire and GT6 here from Triumph, mostly bonnets, these huge uplifting bonnets. Notice the GT6 has a massive bonnet bulge to clear its straight six 2-litre engine. Proper like Baby E types, I love those very much. Can't have a classic car show without a red MGB, so there it is, mission accomplished. And we got a mildly modified 1980s, fairly early, about an 82 Mini there, looking quite mean and moody. There was another one here, it has sadly left us. Insert Mini here. And next to the gap we've got a Wolseley Hornet convertible. Not sure who converted it. It's not one of the Crayfords done for Heinz, the Heinz 57 ones. They had fixed rear side windows. We've got an Austin 7 Ruby showing off its engine bay, its little 747cc engine. MGF, mid-mounted K series engine, and lovely Cortina 1600E. Being lovingly polished after a bit of a deluge today. We've had a fair bit of rain. But yeah, one vehicle we've taken a real liking to is right next to Ellie, the 2CV here. It's the little Bedford HA van. So we saw the Vauxhall Viva Saloon just over there. This is the commercial version, and this dates, I think, from about 1983, which is about the end of production for these. So even though the cars were introduced in the early 60s, the vans were still going in the early 80s. Still with a little overhead valve engine, I think up to about 1.3 litres by this stage. Tiny little carburettor. A very popular little commercial. And then Ellie is here to conclude the lineup. Sitting in the sun. We're hoping we'll get the roof off on the way home. Didn't have much joy on the way here, did we? No, it rained. But there we go. It's been a fascinating day. It's great that I've invited so many other classics to come along and join the fun. It's a shame the weather has dampened numbers a little, but a very enjoyable day. So thank you very much for watching, and we shall see you in a future video. Farewell. Because Bedford.